Hi everybody and welcome to your October masculine, feminine, unconditional love reading. It's incredibly good to see you. I want to thank you so much for being here, for your support, for your love, for your desire to know. I'm using some new cards. They're the same cards that I usually use but a new deck. So they're very white. So yeah, I've been shuffling a lot before I started reading, and yeah, I just want to go. Let's see what's going on for October, for the divine masculine, for the divine feminine, for twin flames, for twin souls, for everybody that loves first. I want to say that loves first and thinks second. There we go. So, bottom of the deck for October is the High Priestess. Wow. She's got a lot to say recently. This is all about intuition. It is about the divine feminine. It's about being in alignment with your truth and being able to communicate it. That's what I'm kind of feeling a lot in this card. It's that it's this free and easy communication of your truth, of your intuition, of your psychicness, of your knowing, of your love. Yeah, and it feels like a very big message there for the divine feminine. So I'm gonna start with the feminine first on this side, then masculine on that side. So first card for the feminine I have is Justice. Second card for the feminine, the Emperor, 2 major arcana. Third card for the feminine, the Fool, 3. Fourth card for the feminine, the Ten of Wands. Okay, wasn't major arcana. First card for the masculine, the Hierophant. That is major arcana. Second card for the masculine, the Moon. Sorry, the lights wants to shine. The Moon, also major arcana. Third for the masculine, the Judgment, major arcana. The Judgment. Judgment. Fourth card, not major arcana. Wow. Okay, I just want to kind of stop and say, this is a big deal. For anybody that reads cards and kind of like knows the cards or whatever, the major arcana are big energies, big stuff happening. And we've got 6 out of 8 here. And they line up. 3 each, and then these 2. It's kind of saying pay attention. Pay attention because in October there's big stuff happening. Crown, masculine, root, feminine, will turn over a bit later. Bottom of the deck is the High Priestess. She's going to go in the middle here. It's not just for the feminine or the female, but it's the feminine rising in terms of, the High Priestess. I mean, it's the feminine, it is that intuition. It's that knowing beyond what we can see. It's just this. It's very powerful energy of leadership in intuition. That's what it feels like. That's what I wanted to get at. Right. So the first card for the feminine over here is Justice. This is that divorces, ex-partners that you may have strong ties with, that you may have children with, or some kind of maybe even business connection, or ex-partners, or even current partners that you are seeking to come into harmony in a separation or a divorce situation, is first and foremost on your mind. And this is also a big message for anybody that feels as though they're in a relationship, but they have a twin flame, or they have somebody else that they feel is their a spiritual connection to, an unconditional love connection that may have been prior to this relationship that they're in now, or it doesn't matter. It somehow feels different, but that they are also in a relationship that's different. It's a call for those relationships that we do not want to be romantic anymore, to move into peace, harmony, justice. And it's that you needn't have any fear that justice will be done. I'm also getting that it is to do with other masculine connections. So that can include fathers, grandfathers, brothers, uncles, whatever, family members that are male. It's a coming to a just conclusion, and coming to a just end any kind of battles that have existed. So it feels as though it is with mostly things in the past. And if we are keeping the things from the past in our present, we can't kind of be fully present, because we're kind of harking back to the past. And I really do feel that this is the first energy for this month. It's that those things will need to come to an end, and life will end them. That doesn't mean that often life ends things, but we resist. We do have free will. We can stay with people that we know we're not meant to be with. We can stay in jobs we know we're not meant to be in. There's another thing. We know that we've kind of moved on, but we're still there. We're living in the past. This card is saying that's all coming to a just conclusion. It wants to end. That life is giving you what you want. And why is this happening? Masculine's got the Hierophant. This is all about the divine feminine, the divine masculine rising and uniting. I know this is kind of like the theme of everything that I share and believe to be powerful. The masculine, feminine energies working in harmony to elevate us all. That's what it's about. This Hierophant card is the card of marriage, and he is the high priest. He comes to match up with the high priestess there. The husband, it's the husband. So this divine feminine energy, which exists in all of us, rises, and then the masculine rises into the partner for her. But it is very important that we seek and allow a just conclusion to the relationships, ideas, and people that we no longer need. It's just allowing a kind of close so that the structure and the marriage, really how it reads very, very simply is divorce and marriage. It's like, there's a divorce over here. There's an ending of something. In an easy way, in a just way. You win the battle, so that marriage, togetherness, commitment, it doesn't have to be marriage, but it's commitment, it's a solidarity, it's a structure, and I'm going to say again about this in this Hierophant card, it's marriage, but it's this idea of marriage as it's like when the divine feminine and the divine masculine come together, they are linchpins for a society. It is about being seen in the eyes of God, in the eyes of a community, in light, in the eyes of life. It's being seen. It's about being seen in your partnership, in your togetherness, in your team. And that is emerging. And it is a strong desire for the masculine. A very, very strong desire. Gosh, these energies are massive. Then I'm kind of like smacked in the face by the second card for the feminine, which is the Emperor. But he's big, this is a big masculine energy, but it's really about having dominion over your entire life. So the feminine is like feeling this power of, I know my position, and I take full responsibility for my position as the emperor of my own life. That is, and it's this feeling of control, but it's healthy. It's a healthy control. It's not to be controlling, it's to be in control, which is a different thing. It's to be in control of your own understanding of the way that things work, and to know that, it's nobody else's fault. I'm running the show here. I'm running the show, and the only show that I can run is my own. It's not about getting involved in other people and trying to change other people. Very, very powerful. It does feel as though there is kind of separateness. I mean, we haven't turned these cards over yet, but there's a very separate kind of, these big energies, they feel like they need to happen kind of separately. So, there is this feeling that they're a little bit opposite. This feels, justice is kind of like things coming to an end. It's kind of about separation, but of things that we don't need. And Hierophant is about the bringing together. So it's quite opposite, but complementary energies. The Emperor energy, as I just explained, is different from this Moon, which is the second card for the masculine, which is all about truth, but sometimes things that we're afraid of coming to the surface. It's about fears. It's about things coming out of the woodwork. And for me, it always signifies that that's happening in our own psyche, in our own thinking. And so in order for the masculine to have what he wants in terms of that structure and togetherness and commitment, which is so here, like it's really, really here for the masculine, he does need to look at some things about himself. He needs to see some things about himself, and maybe about the feminine that he might not like. It's about illuminating, shining the light upon the shadows to see what's there. It's like, when the lights are bright, you can see every speck of dust. And it is this kind of uncovering, but he's solid. He's solid in that Hierophant energy. So it's like when there's a commitment, and now I feel, now I'm contradicting, but now it feels as though there is a kind of partnership, togetherness, team feeling that is very present here for the masculine, because the message is, when I allow us to be a team, I feel supported enough to look at the things that I might find a little bit uncomfortable about me and about you. And so, this Emperor can be quite cutting. So it's important that the feminine is compassionate and supportive. But I feel like that happens though. I feel like this emperor is a support. He's quite elevated, so he is quite difficult to get to. So he's the leader, and yes, when you get to speak to the leader and liaise with the leader, he has much to say, the emperor. He has much wise advice to give. But he is quite difficult to access, but when you do, he's a massive help to this experience of the moon and the fears coming up. So the feminine is a strong force and a strong support for the masculine in this emotion arising. And it's a full moon tomorrow, the beginning of October. So there is a femininity to it. It is a kind of feminine card. It is about emotion. It is about kind of hormones, It's about that kind of feeling of uncontrollable emotions, of basically being moved by things, like the moon moves the tides. It's that life is moving me to feel this stuff. And he can't do anything about it. It's coming up, but it's good. It's great. And she is here to support him. But she may have to put the effort in, you see, because the emperor might feel as though he has better things to do. Yeah? There's no right or wrong there. But the feminine is a support. Having said that, what the feminine is learning and has learnt, and what she feels in that emperor energy, is it is really important that she looks after herself before she tries to look after other people. And that she has stuff to do. This fool is kind of leaping away from the masculine. It's saying, it's my life, and my freedom is really important. And my presence, my ability to be here and now, to not feel attached to things, it becomes an extremely important aspect of her experience. And it's a little bit like this is everything. 0 is the beginning. It's a beginning again, but it's like life begins again. She's got this solid, she's completely able to support herself mentally, physically, emotionally, in every way. She has dominion over her empire, and she's ready to leap into it. She's ready to leap into life, knowing that she has that masculine support that she's always wanted from the masculine. She's really providing to herself. And in doing that, the more feminine, maybe more emotional aspects rise in the masculine. But then she's kind of not there. She's kind of not there to help, But she could if she wanted. It's tricky to say. It's kind of like there are two things going on. It's that if she wants to, she can be of help, but she might not want to, but it's because she's got other things to do, and it's because she understands that she has to look after herself first, and she has a whole empire to kind of be in. And it's important that she does kind of let go and detach from things that are holding her back, so she can feel that sense of empowerment in her own empire as the leader of her own country, her own life, her own world. Then, the masculine has this judgment card. He's just being called up. He sees himself, the divine. He sees himself in his humanity, and he has compassion for himself. I feel as though the feminine goes in the other direction because she knows finally that it's not her job to drag the masculine to his divinity. It is his responsibility. And because he wants this structure, and this structure is being provided and kind of given to him, he's forced on this journey to become more, to become better, to know that he is, I'm gonna say, like a child of the divine. And it's this compassion for our humanity. This card is about humanity being called to their judgment. But really it's about forgiving humanity. It's humanity, you know, it's duality, the spectrum of experience for humanity is large. You know, this feels like within this card we're stripped naked, we're stripped bare. There's a lot of life going on. There's a lot of stuff that we've done wrong. There's a lot of things that we don't get right in our judgments, you see, of ourselves. But we do have to forgive ourselves for our judgments of ourselves. And this is the next stage from the moon. It's like I see all these things that I don't feel that comfortable with, but then I'm able to kind of see myself more clearly, and I'm able to see myself through the eyes of the divine. I'm able to know that I am part of something greater, and I seek to be part of that thing. And it is a process of awakening. But as I said, like the feminine is very much focused on her own thing. And this is what, it is going to help. This is what enables the masculine to go on his journey. They're very, very big cards, big journeys, and they need a lot of time. This stuff is going to be very time consuming. You know, it's going to be the focus. Yeah, it's a really, really big deal. And then suddenly we're hit with kind of normality again. It feels like we're on this kind of trip where we're completely like elevated into, you know, we must live our highest ideal of ourselves and of life in these cards. And the major arcana very much do feel like the kind of high, all are like the high priests and priestesses. And it's an elevated aspect to October. And it does feel kind of like, it's like the planets, they're so large that they pull everything else around. And there is a kind of otherworldly feeling to these energies. It's that it's all that's happening. It's as though real life, in smaller terms, the minutiae of life, you know, is not important. It's all about these big things that are happening, and these are these rites of passage that need to happen, and there's a lot going on for October. But then it seems, you know, as though it suddenly comes to an end, and then we're kind of like back to kind of what's happening. And it feels as though something happens whereby we kind of lose our connection as individuals. We lose our connection to those divine big energies, and we suddenly become very kind of lowly. That's lowly, not lonely. As in, you know, smaller. Because this is quite a shrink into this 10. It's overwhelm. It's almost as though I can kind of understand why it happens, because it's a bit like, where do you go from here? You kind of have to go somewhere different. And it's like, it's a bit like the feminine doesn't quite take the leap for some reason. She's on this amazing trajectory and this amazing path, and it's real and it's there and it does happen. But then it feels like like the momentum's lost, and she kind of gets, it's like it's a bit like it's a dream, and then she kind of comes down into overwhelm. And it is like the old feelings come back of, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I can handle this, I'm not sure if I have the strength to be able to carry on this path of this love which is so strong. The deep love that I feel for another, that never ends, that I can't transcend. Everything can be transcended apart from love. And somehow she feels burdened by this. But it's as though she kind of chooses the masculine over her freedom. And I'm not quite sure why. But it feels as if it's probably got something to do with the Six of Swords, because this is like a movement away or a traveling away. So it's like the masculine feels as though he needs to go on some kind of journey somewhere else, practically in his life in October, because this is such a big shift. But what you've got to know and remember is that he shifted into commitment, solid structure, and this new kind of self and this revelations that happen, these things that are revealed to him about himself and about the feminine, they are quite big. And so he just needs to kind of go off to assimilate it, and he takes the feminine with him. Whether she's there physically or not, she is there. But there's a little message for the masculine, for the feminine here, which is don't go into overwhelm. Like you don't have to go where he goes. Your togetherness is beyond. It's not a burden. It's not bondage. It's just, it is. You don't have to feel overwhelmed and work so hard just because he chooses to go somewhere else. And this card always feels like it's a big message that you can't, you're in the boat. I always feel like this card feels like the masculine is in control and doing the punting and taking her somewhere where she doesn't want to go. But she can't see the truth because she's thinking all of these things, you see. She can't see the clear water where he's going. She doesn't trust. She doesn't, in a way, it's like she doesn't know that he's there. She doesn't know who this guy is. She doesn't know that he's there with her. She just feels like he's like, this is how this is feeling now. It's like the figure in here, hopefully you can see this, yeah. The figure in here, and there are two figures, there's a child there. She feels like she's been left, he's on the shore and she's like, doesn't know where she's going, and he's gone, off you go, and kind of sailed her out to sea. And she doesn't turn around to see that he's still in the boat there with her, She knows that the boat's moving and he's kind of moving it, but she doesn't know that he's there. And she's got to turn around and know that they're going somewhere together. And that she needn't feel all this overwhelm and like, oh, I can't do this. And, because she feels like him moving away is or her moving away, or him pushing her away, is the kind of understanding. What she's got to really realize is that he's always with her, and she doesn't need to work so hard. This card's always like, you know, you don't need to work so hard. You don't have to carry it like this. You don't have to burden yourself with all of this stuff. But I do feel like all this energy that's happening now, this playing out of this energy, this is the last time that it's going to happen. So 10, she's choosing to lay that stuff down. It's going to re-emerge, but it's re-emerging so that we can choose it or not choose it. She doesn't need to work so hard. She just needs to keep leaping. Away doesn't exist. Separation doesn't exist. It's just an illusion. And you may say, well, you know, that's really easy to say. It is very easy to say. And it's easy to experience separation. It's easy to say, well, I'm over here and you're over there. Very easy to see how, of course, we're separate. But it is an illusion. Like many things are an illusion that seem very, very real. I watched a video on YouTube a few days ago, a week ago or so, and it was talking about how, you know, the sea seems blue, the ocean seems really blue, but try and get a bucket of blue water from the ocean and give it to someone. Is it blue? Yeah. Is it blue? No. You know? So it's, yeah. Are you separate? Yeah. Are you not separate? Yeah. Is it an illusion? Yes. It's a beautiful, very real illusion. And this is the final kind of stand. But we're so supported. Life, the planets are aligning. The big guns are out. We're so supported so that we can do this one last time. And it's not even do it one last time. It's like we can get it. We can let go of the pain, let go of the overwhelm, let go of the feeling that you can't do this. It's the same thing is going to happen, but it's not going to feel overwhelming. There might very well still be 10 wands to carry, but you won't be carrying them like that. Other people will be helping you, or you'll be carrying them in a different fashion, or there'll be 9 people that will arrive, and you'll all march together. I really do feel like this is, in October, there is a massive opportunity here for you to, the word is transcend, the pain, the overwhelm, the ideas, the feeling as though you don't see where you're going, and that separation is it's the pain of separation. It's in the process of being transcended. Because it's always present, you see. It doesn't matter if you're with someone, not with someone, in whatever capacity. If they're in the room with you or, you know, whatever. It's like, it doesn't matter the circumstance. It's always kind of present that there's this separation. And it's kind of saying that we really are learning our oneness this month. It's beautiful. So the card that the feminine takes in, Major Arcana again, Temperance. This is so huge, you know, it's like masculine, feminine energy really flowing from one side to the next. Balance, healing, togetherness, you know, the flow of love from one person to the other. Like, she's really, really feeling it. This is like a small thing, and it's that she really needs to experience it to grasp it, but this time she gets it because the big guns are out. She's got what she needs. So it is a bit like a video game where, you do the same thing, you have a level, you have to I haven't played video games for years, a very long time. So I know they're different. I'm talking about very basic things where you you have to kill the dragon, and you have to keep doing the same level until you kill the dragon. And this is kind of like the dragon gets slayed this time. It's that, but you have to fight the dragon to slay it, to win. You haven't gone backwards. You just needed these big guns. And when I say the big guns, I'm like dominion over your own life, presence and newness and freedom. When I say presence, I mean I don't need any. I'm here and now is all that I need. This is very powerful stuff. The balancing within herself of her masculine and feminine. Sometimes she needs to be kind of assertive and direct. That balances her softness, her sensitivity. Energy that the masculine brings is the Four of Swords. So this is very interesting. It is, and it does feel as though he needs to take a rest. And it's because of this. It's big stuff. It's all to do with creating the structure, you see. And so the structure's being created, the barriers to love are being seen. Excuse me. The barriers of love, the fear is being seen. The humanity is being seen. And it's a very big deal. And so he needs a bit of a rest, kind of from the feminine, you see. And I think this is the possibility of what will trigger this. It's the feeling that he's not available, you see, and it's here too. Evolves into the 6. And it's not that he's not available, it's that he's assimilating. When we sleep, we assimilate things. We haven't gone anywhere. It's just a necessary state so we can assimilate and understand. And it's not conscious, you see. So he's not going to feel able maybe to say, oh, I've got stuff going on. It's just, no, I'm not available. In sleep, we're not available. Because we need to be doing the work unconsciously. And it's a really, really big message. And it doesn't mean anything other than that. Sometimes unconsciousness or the unconscious is the best place to do the big work. And we don't necessarily know about it. And that's okay, But I do feel as though the feminine kind of gets it. She's in a place where she's like, oh, I get that it's not about me. It's not about me if he's, doing that. But also because there's this high priestess on the bottom of the deck, the intuition is so honed and so there that she just knows. She just knows beyond the circumstance what's really going on. Yeah? So it's powerful. The root is the 5 of Pentacles. And the crown, you can't see it that well, but the crown is the Page of Wands. So this is interesting. The 5 of Pentacles is all about feeling as though we're left out in the cold and there's nothing for us. It's sickness, it's illness, it's poverty, it's lack. It's lack. It's just, this is so lack. These are so lackful, these figures. But they're just walking past this serenity and peace and warmth and love and truth. And so really what I feel is that the way that we transcend that is just by shifting our perspective and looking at it from a different angle, having a different idea. There is this idea, I channeled some stuff before I started recording about suffering. This is suffering and the choice to suffer. And it is a choice to suffer. You can choose to surrender your suffering. And I do believe that in that choice to surrender your suffering, and I feel like this is what's happening. This is about this 10 here. And to a certain extent, it feels like it's about this energy too. It's like we don't want to be conscious. He doesn't want to be conscious of suffering. So he kind of like, lets it happen kind of under the radar. Which is fine. It doesn't really matter. But it's just that it's being transcended in that process. The perspective shifts. You got to kind of decide that you can choose not to suffer. It's because if you focus upon your suffering too much, you just miss the joy and the abundance that's just there, you see, because you're just focusing upon the suffering. So, but the way that we move through suffering is to let it be there and to not make it wrong. You see, it's only overwhelming if we think that it's not, if we allow it to overwhelm us. And what overwhelms us is, it's like we don't look at it. We don't look at it from a different perspective, you see. This one that's in this page's hands, you see, it's all about, I've got one, look at this, and I'm looking at it from this perspective. If we keep looking at it from the same perspective, if we go, here it comes again, this suffering and this poverty, this lack, this not having, I don't have what I want or need. It's what that says. If you don't look at it from just choose a different perspective, which you can always do. Turn your head to see the pentacles up there. If you don't do that, then you're stuck with all these wands, you see, that feel the same, that you can't carry. It's like, if I get one more wand, if it happens one more time, then, it can't happen one more time. I've reached my capacity. And we have reached our capacity. So it is that you've just got to shift the perspective. We collectively just have to shift our perspective, look at things from a different perspective, literally just turn our head to the other direction and away from our suffering, and we will see the light. And it's a church here. We'll find God in the light. We'll find truth in the light. We'll find every single perspective that knows that everything is perfect and peaceful and beautiful when we turn our heads. If I could give this reading a little subheading, it would be the end of suffering. And maybe I will. Because this is what's happening in October. But it is a choice. And we do have a choice. Just to shift the perspective. And it's not to pretend that it's not there. It's to allow joy to be present at the same time. It's to allow love to be present at the same time. It's to allow God to be present at the same time. To allow the divine to be present at the same time. Because it always is. And then we're not alone. We're not overwhelmed. We're not separate. We feel the connection. We know that we're not out in the cold because we turned our head. And this is what happens. And the outcome is the Knight of Cups. The outcome is communication. Free communication, the delivering and deliverance of a message of love. The ability to communicate the love is the outcome. Because when we let go of suffering, when we let it be, well, I don't want to say let go, it's like when we let the divine in to all the things that we don't like and that we judge. I don't want to be in lack. When we let the divine be present, we turn our head to the divine. It suddenly kind of disappears. It doesn't seem important, and all we want to do is, we're free then to say, hey, I love you. Because it just seems like the rational thing to do. Because we're free to, because we're not worried about ourselves and what we don't have, you see. We turn our heads to the love, and then the love moves us to speak. And this is what happens on a very basic level. It's like, yeah, there's a communication of love. That message is coming in. That message that you've been waiting for your love, from your love, is coming in. And from you. The message of love that you've wanted to move through you. The words that you've always wanted to say, that you've wanted to allow to be your truth out in the world. Because you don't get to hold on to the things that don't serve you anymore. The relationships that don't work for you anymore. That seem like they work on paper, but they just don't. They don't feel right. When you let go of the suffering that it's involved here, you see, it's like let it come to an end. Like, it's already happened. It's gone now. But it is that we kind of at the same time have to make a conscious choice to let it be gone. And then we just become lovers that want to love, that want to speak of our love and want to communicate it freely and easily. And we both have it. Both masculine and feminine are in this place of like, I just want to love, I want to talk of love. Something came to mind then, so like I speak of love. I don't know, something, I'll find it. But it's just that you just want to talk in such loving fashion, in real, truly, like that cup is like that Ace of Cups, unconditional love energy. It's just like, I have some love for you. That's what this Knight of Cups is like. I have some love to give. That's all. That's all I want to say. Is I love you. There's nothing more. Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Apologies again for the delay. I love you very much. I appreciate your support. I want to really thank you, everyone that watches and doesn't, that just allows everything, you know, just allows it, doesn't necessarily interact with me or anybody. You're so beautiful in your acceptance and your allowance, and you're just watching. It's so beautiful, so thank you. You know, I feel you. And you know, we're all just doing our best. Lots of love. See you very soon.